Every witch and wizard in the Harry Potter universe had their powers show up uninvited, usually at the worst possible moment, and usually at someone else's expense. Here's exactly what happened the first time magic crept into each one of their lives. Harry Potter. Harry gets 3 confirmed incidents before he even knows what a wizard is, which is either impressive or just a sign of how spectacularly miserable his childhood was. The first. He apparated onto the school roof while being chased by Dudley's gang. Not flew or climbed, apparated. Straight to the roof. He didn't plan it. He didn't understand it, and he definitely got in trouble for it anyway. The second. Aunt Petunia sheared his hair so short it was practically a skinhead situation. By the next morning, it had grown back entirely, every last strand, which, credit where it's due, is genuinely one of the more useful accidental magic moments anyone in this list managed. The third. He shrunk a hideous jumper so it physically couldn't be put on him. Again, not a plan, just raw, desperate, dress sense self-defense. Magic, for Harry, was basically a coping mechanism before he even had a word for it. Neville Longbottom. Neville gets 2 canonical moments, and they are very different in energy. The first is almost invisible. The very moment Neville was born, the quill of acceptance, the magical quill at Hogwarts that detects new magical children, attempted to write his name in the Book of Admittance. This is from Rowling's Pottermore essay on the subject. In the same moment, the infant Neville shifted his blankets more snugly over himself in his crib. The midwife didn't notice. She assumed his father had tucked the baby in. The second is considerably less subtle. Age 8. His great-uncle Algy, a man who apparently had a very creative approach to child safety, was dangling Neville out of an upstairs window by his ankles, attempting to force a magical reaction out of him. Then, someone offered Algy a meringue. He let go. Neville fell. And instead of becoming a very flat 8-year-old, he bounced, safely down the garden and out onto the road. This confirmed he was a wizard. The family was reportedly overjoyed. Nobody appears to have questioned the methodology. Lily Evans. Lily's first magical moments are seen through Snape's memories in Deathly Hallows, making them one of the more emotionally loaded entries on this list. Harry watches his mother as a child, picking up a flower and making it open and close its petals. Just that. A simple, gentle manipulation of a living thing. What makes this notable is that it appears semi-controlled. She's doing it deliberately, not in a panic or an emotional spike. That's unusual for accidental magic, which typically requires an emotional trigger. She also briefly floated while jumping from a playground swing, a moment of pure childhood joy translating directly into something magical. These 2 moments together paint a picture of someone whose magic was unusually graceful from the very beginning. Severus Snape. Also visible in Snape's memories from the same chapter. While Petunia was mocking him, and Lily, Snape controlled a nearby tree branch to snap and fall on her. This one deserves a moment of examination, because it's different from almost everything else on this list. Most childhood accidental magic is reactive and uncontrolled, a response to fear or desperation. This reads closer to intent. He didn't accidentally knock something over. He directed a specific object at a specific person for a specific reason. The fact that this is one of the first things we see of young Snape, and the fact that it was done in defense of Lily, tells you essentially everything about his entire character arc in about 4 seconds of screen time. Tom Riddle. Dumbledore's visit to the orphanage in Half-Blood Prince is where the details come out, largely through Mrs. Cole's account of life with young Tom. He could move objects. He could make things happen. He took other children to a cave where something happened to them. And whatever it was, they were never quite the same. He was already a Parseltongue as a child, which is a magical ability, not a learned skill. He used his powers to cause deliberate harm to other children in the orphanage. Not defensively, not accidentally, not in a moment of panic. Deliberately. Almost everyone else on this list had their first magical moment happen to them. Tom Riddle's happened because of him. That distinction is, arguably, the entire point. Minerva McGonagall. McGonagall's early magical incidents were when toys left on upper shelves were regularly found in her cot. The family cat appeared to follow her instructions before she could form a coherent sentence, and her father's bagpipes were occasionally heard playing themselves from distant rooms, a phenomenon that, apparently, made the infant Minerva laugh. 3 things to note here. First, she was influencing animals, objects and instruments as an infant, which suggests an unusually broad and early magical range. Second, the bagpipes detail is very specifically Scottish, and very specifically McGonagall. Even as a baby, she was operating with a certain dignity. Third, and perhaps most importantly, these events went unnoticed by her non-magical father for long enough that he didn't realize his wife was a witch until well into their marriage. The woman was covering her tracks before she could walk. Fred Weasley. Fred's first magical moment came in the form of a tantrum, which, if you know anything about Fred Weasley, is exactly right. Ron broke Fred's toy broomstick. In response, Fred accidentally transfigured Ron's teddy bear into a giant spider. No wand, no training, no intention, beyond the very pure intention of making Ron deeply regret his life choices. What makes this remarkable, beyond the obvious, is what transfiguration actually is. It's not a simple spell. At Hogwarts, it's one of the most technically demanding disciplines on the curriculum. Students spend years on basic object transformations under careful instruction. Fred managed a full, spontaneous transfiguration of one living adjacent object into an entirely different creature, as a toddler, because he was angry about a toy. The collateral damage was that Ron developed a lifelong, severe arachnophobia that never left him. Nymphadora Tonks. Tonks was born a metamorph magus, a witch or wizard capable of changing their physical appearance at will. This is an inborn ability, not a learned one. It cannot be taught. Either you have it, or you don't. Her hair color changing ability manifested in infancy, essentially from the crib. This ability was also passed to Nymphadora's son, Teddy. Teddy inherited the metamorph magus ability from his mother Tonks, and reportedly changed his hair color shortly after birth. If you want to see what happens when Harry's life goes sideways from the very beginning, check out our video on what would happen if every other character in the series had raised him instead. Linked on screen now.